Oh, and we're hearing a real noisy click.
Well, this will just be for a second. Once these valves are open, that'll be done.
See, look where you're standing over, Jim.
Yep, that's
you
okay.
You don't want to fall down there.
No, we don't want to fall down either.
Like
so
a rock.
we make sure we can't.
Wow. Okay. That's all the water getting sucked.
That's how it comes in. No, it comes in from the chamber. So what we're standing on is about a 12.5-foot diameter tunnel that the water comes in, and then it enters through ports on the chamber. And we just use gravity to do that. It's the same thing to get it out. We just open the lower ones and close these, and then just let the pressure equalize.
And it's a beautiful day in July, and Jim Lisinski and I are down here in Trempealeau, and we are at the Lock and Dam, and we are going to get a wonderful tour here today with, you're the lockmaster?
Yes, Lockmaster Joel Herman.
Joel Herman, he's going to give us a tour. This is going to be interesting, and right now I'm standing on this grate, and there is water underneath that is coming in or going out.
Coming in.
Okay. Joel, you're the lockmaster. What does that mean?
So the lockmaster is the lead personnel or operator at the Lock and Dam. We are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do that with a staff of 4 head operators, 5 operators, an equipment repairer who's like an electrician, a working supervisor, and myself. And I would just be at the top of that chain of command for this site.
And this weekend is Catfish Days.
It is.
And you're having an open house.
We are, from 10 to 2 o'clock. We coincide our annual open house with the Catfish Days on Saturday. We've been doing it for longer than I know, but and we plan to continue to do so in the future.
And so maybe today you can just kind of show Jim and I what people will be looking at during the open house.
Well, the open house is a great opportunity for the public to come in and see firsthand what our site looks like and how we do conduct our operations. Generally, we keep our fences and doors locked and closed for safety and security reasons. But today, people can come in and they can see us locking boats, they can ask questions, they can have firsthand experience looking at the equipment. For example, we've got a towboat coming through right here. They've already got the barges through on our upper end.
The gates are opening.
Yep, the gates are open. So they have already got the barges through, and now this boat's going to come through and he's going to recouple to those barges, and I believe they're going to stop in Winona and then head up to St. Paul.
How long is the lock here?
How long is the chamber or the lock itself?
This chamber here.
This chamber is 605 feet long by 110 feet wide. And to kind of give you an idea of the precision and skill of these pilots, those barges are 35 feet wide, which means he's 105. And he's got to make it into a hole that's 110. And he's 4 barges long. Each one of those barges is 200 feet. And his boat is back here. So he is steering an 800-foot tow or collection of barges from the back, and he's got to fit it into a hole that's 105 feet wide or 110 feet wide when he's 105. So the skill of these pilots is just incredible. It's something I've admired in all my time with the Corps of Engineers.
Well, I know in the early years, I said before the locks were built, I said with the sandbars and all the snags and such in the river, you had to be a real tow master, like they called it, to get up and down these rivers. But once we put the locks in the 30s, which took them a few years, I said we've really improved the amount of traffic we can get on the river, and the exporting of products is one of the cheapest ways to move materials up and down the river.
What was that?
So that was a signal that our crew was giving. Okay. Nope. He was just signaling the boat that the gates are now in a position or recessed enough so that he can exit the chamber to take that next step. And you're absolutely right. This is by far the most economical, environmentally friendly, and just overall efficient way to move any type of commodity is on the river. A good kind of number for you is every bushel of grain that comes through on a barge, a farmer gets to keep an extra $1 versus having to transport that on a train to bring their goods to market. Some other examples for you. So on our 10-year average is 10.1 million tons of commodities. So that's how much grain and other materials that come through here. Going south, we generally see all of our grains, our soy, our wheat, our corn. Going north, There's a few major products. The first one being fertilizer, then concrete, salt, and gypsum. Those are the main four that go north. There's all types of other commodities, but those are the predominantly the main ones.
I know when they started building the locks and that, I said there were some originally built up by St. Paul and Minneapolis, the first dam. And they were kind of like privately started because they wanted hydroelectric and a few other things. But when the government got involved, I think those all got overridden. And about 1930, we started surveying and getting ready here to build the lock in the dam system.
Yes, this lock specifically began construction in 1933, and it was completed in 1936. So we completed construction in 1936. The lock system allows us to maintain the 9-foot navigation channel. So when you look at those barges that are loaded, they're drafting 9 feet below the surface of the water, and that is our goal. So anytime you're on the river and you're ever worried about where all those wing dams are or anything like that, if you just stay between those red and green buoys, you'll be okay. You're guaranteed at least 9 feet of draft if you stay between those buoys.
Yeah, I know when they originally tried on the river, the idea of the wing dam was to maintain a 4.5-foot channel.
Correct.
And the idea was the high volume of water being forced through there will keep the sediment out, and well, being it worked so well, then they had to increase the size of the ships that were moving on it, the boats. Well, then it wasn't deep enough, so then the Congress went to a 6-foot channel, and they finally come up with the conclusion we can't keep wing damming because it doesn't help. We've got to do the lock and dam system. And I know we've got them for flood control, for navigation, we've got them for agricultural movement here, you know, and recreational places. But most places the lock and dam system is put in, I says, to help industry, I would say, and moving of commodities. It's the biggest.
100%. This is considered what would be considered a navigational dam. So it does not provide flood control capabilities. If anything, it is more of a drought control. So when we have the last few years when we've been in drought and we haven't had those precipitation, we're able to adjust our dam and lower those gates to reduce the amount of water to go through to make sure that we maintain that 9-foot channel. So it's more of these dams are much more, a better term would be a drought control versus a flood control.
Why?
And there are dams within the district that still do provide hydroelectricity. This is not one of them. To do that, the turbines need a consistent, at minimum, a 7.5-foot drop or head is what we call.
Yep.
And here at our normal pool levels, which we're a little elevated right now because of all the rain we've got, we only get to about 6.5.
Well, I think Trempealeau is sitting at, what, 648, 650 feet above sea level?
That is correct. So so that's how we maintain our pool level. We don't do river stage. There's a equation we can plug our numbers into to figure that out.
No. And they said Lock 5A was kind of an afterthought.
It was. So, and that's why it got its name as Lock 5A. So when Congress approved all the locks and dams, they approved the funds and the construction of 25 locks and dams. Well, when they started constructions of 5 and 6, and they continued down the river, someone rechecked the math and realized that without Lock 5A, Winona would have been underwater. So they added Lock 5A and had to eliminate a lock and dam further downstream, and that is how Lock 5A got its name and its site and construction. Now, since then, Winona has done wondrous things with its levee system. It is much more capable of withstanding high water. Maybe could have got away with it now, but back then it would have been a pretty bad day for Winona.
I think the flood of '65 kind of improved the levees all the way along the river here, I said.
You're absolutely correct. That was the one that really made people stop and think about increasing their levee capacity.
Because I know out of Fountain City there we have a Corps engineer crew, I guess, and they kind of maintain the dam up, 5A in that area or something. The Thompson used to be there.
Yes, the Thompson, and that you're referring to our service base. It's based out of Fountain City, so that's the headquarters of our PSB, or Physical Support Branch. So that's where the dredge gets, which replaced the Thompson, harbors, and that's where they're based out of. So is our M&R, or Maintenance and Repair Section, and those are the crews that'll go up and down the river and take care of the larger maintenance projects that we're not able to do here at the site. But everything you look at here at the site, my staff that I described earlier, we do 100% of it. We do everything from fabricate parts, weld, work grinders, pour concrete, paint, scrub toilets, mop floors. We do it all.
Well, I know there's a lot of maintenance involved, and there's a lot of heavy equipment here. When they start building the dams, they had to put in the coffers. They took half the bluff off this hill up here, and they had seen some early pictures here. I said in the office area, there were trees and stuff that had to be removed, and a lot of pre-work before the dams could even be put in, the footings and everything else. So local people helped build them, and I said that generation is just about all gone if they're not gone. But the history is still here, so that's what we're trying to record, is some of the history and results of their efforts.
Absolutely, and that's very admirable. And the Corps of Engineers does that as well. We have full-time librarians who act as historians that steward all those old pictures and documents and keep those stories alive, and they work hand in hand with a lot of local historical societies to provide information, presentations, all that, all those kind of things. And yeah, it's really amazing when you think about this being built in 1936, because the vast majority of what you're seeing here is original. We do a lot of maintenance and preventative maintenance to ensure that those efforts continue to be fruitful and our locks continue to be operational. And that's largely our primary mission outside of the navigation. We achieve our navigation mission by conducting all the preventative maintenance and ensuring that our equipment and our structures are up to standard. For example, and you both are very welcome to come back here and we can do an interview with during this time. About mid-August, we're going to be replacing our miter gates. So those are the gates, which are original. They are now going to be replaced. They are on a barge coming up from a fabricator down in Alabama. Wow. They're going to come in with a 300-ton crane, and they will pick one gate completely out of the water, and they will put another one in, and that'll take 12 hours. And we will do 2 gates in 1 week and 2 the next week.
Yeah, let us know.
Absolutely. I can give you those dates before we leave. But yeah, it's we'll be doing that in August. I think it's August. I got to check my schedule. I believe it's August 17th is our first scheduled lift, and we'll be doing all four miter gates. So yeah, that's just another part of our effort to ensure that we maintain our operational capacity.
I just noticed the crew on here, they had their own tomatoes started on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing.
I suppose they've been on this barge how long?
So generally, the staff, I know this company, it's Marquette Transportation, they do 28 days on, 14 days off. And sometimes they get asked to ride over. And some crew extend their trips, but generally their rotation is 28 days straight on this boat and then off for 14. So some fresh vegetables. Yeah, absolutely.
Get them all up, ready to go, and the next crew will eat them.
Absolutely, and most of these vessels are staffed with a full-time cook, and I can see they got their grill going right there too.
Oh, right. Going,
yep.
They're smoking something down there.
Well, it's Saturday, so I believe that's steak night. They do, and they earn every bit of it. They're on there. They generally do 6-hour shifts throughout the day, so they do 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 6 hours on, 6 hours off for 28 days straight.
So what's backing up over here?
So here we have our Coast Guard Auxiliary from Winona. They come and they set up and they do a kind of presentation and interact with the public during the open house as well.
Safety thing, yeah. When I worked in Pearl Park, I know one gentleman had docked his boat, and when he gave it a push off of the ramp, the rope was rotten and the boat went and he was on shore, and then he went after it, and the water was over his head in no time, and his phone was in the boat.
Oh boy. That sounds like a bad day.
But luckily the DNR warden had a boat in the house there, in-house in Trempealeau. So we pulled that boat out, and then Justin went down there, the maintenance supervisor, and they helped catch it before it went through the lock. But I said, Pearl Park is just a few miles up the stream here, and I said, don't take long, I said, the speed of water to get here.
No, it does not. Not at all.
No, I said, it's a great system we got here. I said, maybe we'll look at a few older pictures and maybe look at a few things here about the dam. And
I've got to ask you too. Can you explain exactly what the Corps of Engineers is?
So the United States Army Corps of Engineers is a civilian organization that is oversaw by the active duty Army component. An example of that is our district commander, which is St. Paul District. is head up currently by Colonel Eric Swenson. He is an active duty colonel in the Army. So we have a team of officers that are engineers, they're project managers. They ultimately oversee and make some of the larger decisions for the Corps, but the day-to-day operations, the work is done by civilian counterpart workforce. So the Corps of Engineers' mission is to provide civil works and infrastructure to the nation, and we're funded through a myriad of different processes, generally through Congress, and we conduct civil works projects throughout the country.
Okay, just so people know, because I think some people don't think that you're in uniform because you're in the Army or something. But.
Well, a great deal of us are veterans. I was a veteran.
Okay.
I am a veteran. I was an active duty infantryman in the 25th Infantry Division. About 2/3 of our employees in operations within the St. Paul district are veterans, but it is not a requirement.
Okay.
But there are Corps personnel that are uniformed, and if you come back today, you might see a couple of them.
Okay, okay. So, what else do you want to look at here, Jim?
Well, I said there's some older pictures here on display. Maybe we'll glance at a few of
We'll look
those.
at the
And
displays.
And if you wanted, we could go up to the dam, and there's one heck of a view up there. And that will be open for the open house today as well.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. We can
So-
always get
How do
pictures.
we
There's
get
two
there?
ways of doing it. We can either go in and we can take a look at some pictures and then wait till this boat leaves, and then they'll close the gates. Otherwise, we'll have to walk all the way down there, cross, come over, and then go up. It's totally up to you.
Let's go look at the pictures.
Okay.
Well, it's good that the general public can come over here and kind of see how the lock system
Yeah.
works. Like you said, it's usually locked up for safety purposes, keep people off. Because everybody would be fishing here, you know that.
Absolutely. And you know, that's just it. We're a public. We're funded through public tax dollars, so we are a public agency. We answer to the public. Everyone has access to the lock and dam 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People can come and, lock through. So everyone has a right to the river, so we ensure that mission is met.
Because we've locked through a few times when we've been out on the boat, and I said it's always been an enjoyable experience. I said, especially if people haven't went through it before. There's a Fernan hare, Lennon hare. So I said a lot of these fish, they were locals, from Gainesville, Trempealeau, were from the area that got a job here and helped construct the dam.
Yeah.
No, that's another thing I'm going to ask him. If he ever heard the stories about all the big fish down the river. Here's the guy with the diving. I know they mentioned in Winona one time that they were looking if somebody was tangled. They were looking for a body, I believe. And they thought maybe in the footings of the dam there could be somebody in there. And the diver said that there's fish in there just as big as me.
Oh my gosh, you mean dead fish or fish? that
No,
are
live
living?
fish.
Oh, dear.
Live fish.
Were they big catfish?
I suspect that's what they were. Did you ever hear stories about the big fish next to the dam?
Oh yeah. We
See?
got one of the gentlemen that'll be here today is on the dive team. He might. His name's Mitchell Surjogans. He might be. If you come back and talk to him, he might have a story or two for you.
Yeah, I said, I said by Winona, they were looking there, I think for a body by the dam or something, possibly tangled up in there. And they said there's fish down there bigger than we got.
Yep. Yeah, it's an unfortunate part of being on the river. Things like that happen. But yeah, there's some very large fish.
We went on a 4th of July excursion up here by Buffalo City.
Okay.
Above 5'8".
Sure.
4th of July, and we had a 21-foot walk-through, runabout boat, and up and down the river having a good time. The next day we took the kids, because it was just the grown-ups the first day. The next day we took the kids. Everybody had life preservers, driving real nice and slow. And kids were all probably 8 and under, let's put it that way. And there was 2 sticks in the water, maybe 12 feet apart, 10 feet apart. You could see about 6 inches of a little stick, about thick as your thumb, sticking out. And we went between them sticks, and it was a stump the size of a Volkswagen.
Oh boy.
it ripped this 115 horse
Oh,
three-quarters
no.
the way off the back of the boat.
Oh no.
I was just hanging by one clip on the side there, and we just made a great big left-hand turn, and we idled it all the way back up to the dock. But, I mean, we were just about one of those people that went through the dam. I don't think we had more.
Yeah, you got to be really careful out there, even when the water's low, but especially when the water's high, because when that water raises up on the tributaries, all that sediment, all that debris that's collected on the banks of the smaller creeks and rivers feeds into the main channel, and that's what you see coming down.
And the tug creates suction. They move when moving
absolutely.
water. That you can see how the water goes up and down. If you're in a backwater, someplace tug goes by and your boat goes up and goes back down again, it sucks that big debris back in. So I know when it comes to the dam here, I suspect there's some grinding here once in a while.
Absolutely.
I know of Feller by Arcadia, they found a log from when they were doing the logging on the river. They would barge the logs down.
Sure.
And in the middle of each log barge, there was a little cookhouse.
Oh, yeah, why not?
And that
They're
thing
gonna
was
be-
kind of a permanent fixture, every barge that came along. And he had one of the logs that was hewed and tied to make the 16-foot square around the cookhouse.
Okay.
And they found that in the lock up at Elma.
Oh boy.
So they pulled it out for him, and then he's got that in his shed.
All right, so we're not afraid of heights?
Not since I got over falling almost off my windmill.
Oh boy.
I was up there to grease the windmill and the platform broke.
Oh boy.
We went to Winona about 2 weeks later. I could hardly look off the bridge.
Oh jeez. So I told you kind of some of our maintenance.
The size of these gears on this rig.
It's a pretty big sector gear. So that is the only driving force when we move these miter gates back and forth, and that's just our electric motor that we do for that. So that's a 480 volt electric motor. So these gates are original, and they were installed in 36 when the dam was opened. But because there's only one set, we never added the second set or the machinery to operate them. We can't maintain them the way we do our navigation main miter gates.
Yeah.
And we do that by dewatering the chamber. We put in what we call bulkheads, and we pump out all the water, then we sandblast and refinish. So, but we still inspect these annually with our dive team, and they started to anticipate and notice the beginning of some section loss in the steel at the base. So at some point, these gates will fail. So we installed this auxiliary
temporary
closure.
wall, yeah.
No, this isn't temporary. This is permanent.
Oh, it is.
And this is at every lock and dam in the St. Paul district. The ones that don't have it will have it soon. And this is a way to head off that eventual failure of these auxiliary miter gates. So this is just an example of some of the preventative steps and anticipated challenges that the Corps identifies and addresses before they become issues, right? It's always better to take care of something before it's an issue, right?
Stitching time saves 9.
There you go. And I always get questions about what these gates are for and why this is there, but that's it. They put that in there.
It was good thinking.
If we had enough
beforehand,
navigational traffic,
demand and
we
the
could
water
still
level maintained.
Yep, we could still like lock pleasure craft or wreck boats through with a smaller chamber if we had towboats here. So.
Yeah, I had heard.
Got purple martin houses back there.
Yes, we do. We like to work with Mother Nature, and they eat all the bugs so that the bugs don't eat us, and we give them a house.
I know a lot about mosquitoes. Yeah, most people don't get to see this part of the dam. They don't realize that
So
there is access here once a year if they come at the right day.
So it's such a good opportunity to take advantage of the open house. So our roller gates are a little bit higher out of the water right now because we're at higher flows. And you know, the water looks a lot more peaceful when you're from the shore. But when you come up here, you can see how really hard while it's floating. So right now they are sitting at 14 feet. So that means from the sill or the base of the dam, there's a concrete slab. To the bottom of that roller gate, there's a 14-foot gap.
I was just going to ask how deep that water is right here. Because a lot of times, I said when the early settlers came, a lot of times the Mississippi was knee-deep or less.
Without these dams, without the dam system, there would be stretches of this river where you could walk across.
See? So that's how they got across. They could float a wagon, they could barge it across, and literally walk across. Because people asked, I said, when they did westward expansion, how did they get across the Mississippi? said it wasn't as deep. Well, it's hard to believe. I said, when you look from that hill to that hill.
It was a lot wider, but it was a lot more shallow.
Yep.
And one thing I'd like to point out, just as for a safety bit of information, those white buoys that you see up there, those are 600 feet above our dam. Everything below that is restricted waters. If you're in a recreational vessel, you're of course very welcome to come near here and fish and enjoy the river, but you need to stay out of these restricted areas. And especially if you're on the upstream side of the dam, you really need to take care of your vessel and your surroundings. It's unfortunate, but every once in a while we have to, the vessel will have some problems and it'll go into the dam or go under a gate. There was one at Lock and Dam 8 just this last weekend. Everyone is very fortunate. There was no harm. But it could have been a really, really bad day.
That's what them yellow rope things are for?
So those are safety blocks, and yes, if your vessel became disabled and the first thing is you better have your PFD on. Second thing is try and throw an anchor. If that fails and you float into the gates, you can grab onto that line and that'll keep you from getting pulled under. It'll keep your vessel from going over if the gates are lower. And I know this because one of the collateral duties I do for the Corps of Engineers is as a boat instructor. And one of the things I do is I partner with local fire departments, sheriff's departments, dive teams, DNR agents, and I will get in a boat and I will float it down to the upstream side of that gate and I'll hold on to that line and they will practice backing in their vessel, hooking up to me and pulling me out. So I know it works. I've done it firsthand, and that's what those are for. We call them safety blocks or safety lines.
They were educational too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to share that information because not everybody has that.
Well, yeah, it's the thing that says if you would end up in the lock, it's good to know that if you grab there, at least
Well,
you can
yeah.
hang
Absolutely, absolutely.
on. Not that it's a flush cord. She's coming behind me here, but
Okay.
she was reading the sign someplace. There's a sign, she has to read it.
That's fine. Well, we got a few mayflies up here. They're hatching. Thankfully, it wasn't a big hatch. Now, here's a great example of that calm water having a different view.
Oh, you betcha. This is when she's rolling back out, and I said, it's letting you know it's coming out.
Yep, and that's what we call the boil. And you can see when that water comes under the gate and comes up, it'll push things into the gate.
Suck 'em
Even
in
though
and
it's
roll
downstream, things will come upstream.
And they roll right back around again, yeah?
And while these are safe, I'll just point this out. This is our last line of defense, so we inspect these very regularly. I just ask that you don't lean on them because if they were to fail, there's nothing between you and that water.
Air.
But up here we have some beautiful views. It's really picturesque. You come up here in the evening during sunset or during the morning at sunrise. You got the mists and the moisture coming out of the valleys and the bluffs. You can
See on First Bluff where a lot of the rock came from. They built
absolutely.
this quarry, or they built the dam. It come off of there. And I said, like I said, we got some older pictures here of this. All had trees and everything. It had to all be cleaned out and all remodeled just to get the dam set in here.
Yep, it's a beautiful place and it's a wonderful place to work, and I count myself lucky and I'm happy to contribute. You know, like I said, a lot of us are veterans and we take supporting our nation very seriously. I was a volunteer fireman, continue to support my community, and yeah.
Does all the Mississippi go through this dam, or does it go through the backwaters and get around it?
No, there is no backwaters getting around this. We do have a spillway, part of our dike structure. So we have an earthen dike with a lock chamber, then our navigational dam, followed by another earthen dike, and then a spillway structure that leads into another earthen dike. That spillway structure has a little water that passes through so fish can come through.
Yep.
And when we get to a certain flood stage or water elevation, it'll spill over onto that. But no, there's no you can't get around to Lock and Dam.
I said, that's what I was kind of wondering. I said, well, guy, maybe come on a boat, you just go around if you stay in the backwaters.
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't gonna work.
Nope. It would defeat the purpose of keeping the water back and it would just offer too many variables to be able to consistently maintain that 9-foot navigation.
Makes sense.
And when we're talking about 10.1 million tons of commodities, I mean, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars. So there's a reason that the structures are built and the system is designed in such a way so that we can maintain a consistent navigation channel for the maritime transportation industry. So I can take you into our pier house here and show you some of our kind of, this is the end of the tour as far as people, we allow people to come. We'll have people stationed around here to interact with the public as well throughout the day. But we've got our miter gate, or our roller gate machinery, and we have two different types of gates. We call them roller gates and tainer gates. What we're standing over is a roller gate, and a good shot, you can see it because it kind of rolls down that pier. And the reason the other reason that they're designed this way is in the winter, we will submerge those so that when ice comes up, the ice will go over, and that alleviates pressure building on our structure. So that is the function of the roller gate.
What's the highest water you've ever seen here?
Oh, I guess that would have been, since I've only been here since 2021, would have been in 23 when we had that high water in July. For example, we're in a kind of an elevated water right now. We're flowing about 68,000 cubic feet per second. A cubic foot is about a basketball, give or take. So we got 68,000 of those flowing through our dam every second. Normal pool is about 20 to 22,000. During that flood in 23, we reached 216,000 cubic feet per second. So just to kind of give you the scale of what these dams can withstand and pass through, and the kind of the varied environmental situations that we deal with.
Because water works 24 hours a day.
It absolutely does.
It doesn't this stop for midnight or 7 days a week.
That should stay open. So here's a great shot. You're welcome to come up here. This is why we leave it out here for the. Safe.
You want to look at the gear works in here?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. You can come on up and take a look, and this is our electric motor and gear system that drives that roller gate up and down.
Jim gave me a push. I need it. My goodness, look at this.
So this again is what we're charged with maintaining and operating, and this is what we do when we're not locking boats.
You see, and there's a gauge on here telling you.
So that's a gauge. So we know what depth to set it at, and that's, it's a lock system here. We just unlock it and operate it with this control panel here. The operator will then look at that dial to ensure we're at the right depth, the right setting.
The gear has to weigh how many tons?
I'm not sure, but I know it's heavy. In fact, there was an issue where we had to replace something on this one at some point, and you can see how they did it. They had to cut a hole in the roof and bring in a crane.
Well, no doubt about it, because
And the way our settings work, we have a team of hydrologists or water scientists that are up in St. Paul, and every day they look at all the tributaries for the whole water system, all the rainfall, all projections, and they will issue us daily orders that we get about 6 to 7 a.m. And that tells us what we need to adjust in our dam to maintain that 9-foot river channel.
There's more water coming. We're going to have to preset a little bit. And see, here's even a schematic over here. Probably drawn last week or so, but it's a schematic showing you how this thing was.
Yep.
Look, and see how this chain drives. Here's the gear we just
It's like a big bike chain. And if you
there should be a date on it, right?
well, it's got to be from the 1930s. It says War Department on the top, Corps of Engineers.
Yep.
We're looking for the date on this thing.
Oh boy.
But I said, this is the gear we just looked at, and see how the chain system works, and rolls the gate by turning. And
obviously a reprint. I want to say.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, 1934.
Yeah.
See?
That's where this was originally. Now, obviously, that's a reprint of the original, but yeah.
It almost looks like the original. Actually, good job.
Well, we leave it up here to give it that nice weathered look. So, with that, that'll largely conclude the tour.
Well, Nancy, we're going to have to kind of give Joel his job back, because he has another tour here to the general public.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of a special edition for Trempealeau County.
So can you tell me what that boat is over there?
So that is what we refer to in the industry as a helper boat. So that's a private company, RTS, and you can see some of their crew members standing up front. Yeah. So what they do, they will assist the towboats enter and exit the lock. So when they come down, they will push in on the head to make sure that they can get in. And it makes the system a lot safer, a lot more efficient time-wise, because sometimes it takes those boats an hour to 3 hours. I've stood on that upper guide wall as a boat tries to make its way in the dam, because they don't want to damage anything, because their company's then liable for it. So they will do that, and we. So that's what they provide, and they'll be doing tours today where people can walk across that gangplank, walk in the boat, and toot the horn sometimes. And
See, sometimes they lock through, then they got to tie the barges above and below because
Correct.
they're too long for the lock.
So every barge is 200 feet long, and we'll get tows of 15 barges. So that means they're 1,000 feet long, and our chamber's only 600. So we only can fit 9 barges in the chamber. So they'll come in with 9, they'll decouple, and if they're going southbound, excuse me, we will do what we call a process called flushing, where we have our lower gates open, and we have our lower valves closed, but we open our upper valves. So we're letting water into the chamber, and we're just creating that current to let them through. And it's a lot of finesse in that. So you kind of adjust the gates just right to get them moving, but not too fast. Because the only thing that's stopping them, there is a deckhand that'll be on the back barge on the stern, and he'll throw up a line and attach it to one of those pins, and he's got to stop all 9 barges, all 27 million pounds of commodity plus the weights of the barge themselves. And if they're going northbound, we have a tow haulage system, which is just a hydraulic winch attached to a 5/8 stainless steel cable, and we just attach it to a cable and pull them out.
Pull them up and then lock them up onto the side of the dam, and then send in the next batch, and finally send the tug through.
Yep.
Recouple, and
They'll be on their way.
The other one that went through this morning, he was long gone before we even got up here.
Oh yeah.
As soon as the gate was open, he put her in high.
Oh yeah, they've got places to go.
Now, the last lock and dam is St. Louis, is that correct?
That is, yes, the lock and dam system stops where the Missouri River meets the Mississippi, because then the river becomes so deep and wide and navigable that the lock and dam system is not necessary.
Okay.
So that'd be lock 25.
No,
Okay.
you guys go first. 'Cause
Okay.
If I don't make it, at least I tumble into you.
I'll race you down, man.
Yeah. As long as I got a railing.
Well, that's one thing they have here is plenty of railings.
Oh yeah.
But don't trust them, but there's plenty of them.
Well, you just, it's when it's the last thing between you and
You're
a bad day.
You're thankful it's there.
Yeah.
Is that a catfish down there?
It used to be.
I know.
Some eagle will find that and he'll just take that up for lunch. They've got one right here in eagle
Oh,
camp.
there's a couple nests out here. Yeah, we see them every day.
Some eagle will
Nothing
come
will
and
waste.
he says, we'll take that off your hands there. I said, they have live eagle cam here in Trempealeau.
That's right.
Yeah, the engineering involved in this had to really been something. Those guys went to school more than just 8th grade.
Yeah, I think so.
And yet, even back in the 30s, higher education was not a real big prerequisite for a lot of jobs, I mean, there was just common sense. But there had to be engineering involved on this. But thank you for your day.
Absolutely, sir. It's great meeting
and
you.
we'll
I'm glad
see you
I
again,
had
Joel.
the opportunity to talk to you and show you the lock and dam.
You betcha. And we'll tell other people, I said, to stop by during catfish days.
Absolutely.
Every year, we're trying to do it.
And if they don't make it this year, we'll be here next year.
Also, otherwise, there is a viewing platform down there, isn't there? Where
Correct.
you can stand and watch the
Can't-
river and the boats.
Absolutely, and we get quite a few visitors here every day looking. We, to watch the towboats, and the staff will answer questions. And we have a very beautiful park that we go to great lengths to maintain and ensure that it's a nice space for people to enjoy, and everyone is very welcome to come on down and enjoy that whenever they want.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're with the Winona Flotilla of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that Coast Guard, they go up the rivers too. They're not
Yep.
just on the coast.
Navigable, commercially
Right.
navigable waterways.
Yeah.
And our AOR is Division 2, which runs from Gutenberg Lock and Dam 10 to Red Wing Lock and Dam 3 and up to Chippewa to downtown Eau Claire.
Wow.
So you can do shopping and boat work at the same time. Look at that.
Bye.